right, guys, let's get to our next topic. You mentioned it earlier. We're going to get back to it now. It's brought to you by Aura Frames. The holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. And if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every single time. It's not just something you wrap. It's a way to share memories, because Aura isn't just your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before gifting it. So when they plug it in, the memories are already there. No apps to figure it out. No setup headaches. Just instant smiles. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura Frames' best-selling Carver mat frame, named the #1 frame in the world by wire cutting. And if you use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout, you get that $35 off. That's Aura Frames, AURA frames.com, promo code LOCKEDON. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays and show your support for the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply.
Mike, can I say something about that? I didn't know that they were one of our clients. I want to say something quickly about Aura. A couple of years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I was looking for a gift for my mom for Christmas, and it's hard to get a gift for my mom. She's pretty frugal. She has everything she needs, and I saw this Aura. And what it is it looks just like a picture frame. They come in various sizes. You can hang them on the wall. You can put them. She puts hers on her like TV stand sort of. And what you do is you get a code, and then you can email it to all your relatives. So I sent it to all my siblings, and I said, hey guys, once a week, once a month, drop some pictures on this for mom. And so my daughter sends pictures of her kids, which are my mom's great grandchildren, and my mom has like 20 great grandchildren. And when I go over to my mom's house to visit, there's that frame sitting on the credenza there. And it rotates through the pictures 24/7.
That's sweet.
And my mom I cannot tell you how many times my mom has said, it's one of the best gifts I've ever received.
Yeah, I'm about to buy one right now.
Hey, listen, hold on.
Sold me on
hey,
one.
listen, hold on. I was sitting there. Shut up, Dustin. I was over here sitting there like, ooh.
So,
hey, Rose, yeah,
order one.
Put that order. I get that one together.
Well, I bring it up
that
because
wasn't even
it's
a paid
Christmas
partnership,
time.
man.
Yeah.
But what's so cool about it is, sometimes elderly people like to have pictures. Well, you can't have pictures of 20 grandchildren.
Right.
But if you have one frame, they cycle through, and it's so easy to do.
It's color?
It's color pictures.
How big's the frame?
Hers is about maybe 10 by 8, maybe, I'd say. But they come bigger. You can hang them on the wall, too. And it's Wi-Fi. So there's there's nothing that you have to worry about that. But you just email the pictures, and they rotate through, and they're perfect gifts for particularly parents who live away from large parts of their family.
Right. That's great. Yeah,
This is
Aura.
crazy. I can even
Check it out.
I can even prank my mom. So what I could do is
You can send pictures.
I can send pictures of myself, and I just sit there and have my shirtless picture. Yeah, this is your favorite son, G. Bush. That's spooky.
Send a picture of Carl fixing the machines.
And she like, listen, take this picture frame down. You
No,
do too much.
they're a great gift.
I gotta get this.
And considering the enjoyment you get and how long they last, it's very, very cost effective. They're not expensive
I like
at all,
that.
and they last forever. My mom's had hers for probably 10 years.
Go into aura.com.
Yeah, we'll get to this.
Aura.com.
Check it out.
Aura,
yeah.
and
use us
code locked on.
Code
You get a
locked
discount.
on. Mention UCSS at checkout. Speaking of checking out, the Browns have completely checked out.
Yeah.
And you guys mentioned this earlier. G, I'll start with you on this one because I know you brought it up, and we talked about it on the postgame show a bit. Is this the first time you truly felt like the Browns had checked out, even maybe if you want to go as far as to say quit on Kevin Stefanski?
Yeah, the reason I say it's the first time is because, just from my experience, stopping a run is an attitude. Like, defense is attitude and effort. And when I saw that the way they were running the ball, I said, "Oh, this isn't the same defense. It's not. It don't look the same." And then I was befuddled. The first play of the game, or first series of the game, I think the Browns. No, this one happened to be maybe it's the third one. Browns were down 7-0. Then wristband gate or helmet gate or whatever gate happened where he didn't know either he didn't have a wristband or wrong wristband.
I got some information on that, G.
Okay.
So Jason texted me this morning. He's not in the show. He said he did some digging around, and Shador's answer when he said it just wasn't in there turned out it had fallen out.
Yeah.
That is now confirmed. It wasn't. He had the wrong wristband.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
play sheet for the second drive somehow fell out of the wristband. It wasn't a coaching thing. It wasn't a Shador mistake.
It just fell out.
It fell out, which is the most Browns thing in the history of humanity.
So your wristband card is gone. And he goes to the sideline. And he's telling Kevin, like, yeah, like, so I guess he had to verbally tell him this is what the play was.
Yes.
He's going back into the game, and I'm on the live stream, and I'm counting 13, 12, 11, 10.
Play clock.
9, and then he gets in the huddle, they break it. By the time if you break the huddle, every football player knows this. You break a huddle in today's football and it's under 10 seconds, you in trouble because you got to make the line calls, you got to make any sort of protection schemes. If you're in the wrong thing, you need to change the play. Anything under 10 seconds, you break the huddle, you in trouble. I'm looking at Kevin like, go ahead, call timeout. You're down 7-0.
Right.
You know your offense is limited. You can't do 1st and 15. That's not. And what you want to do at that point is just sustain some drives, get a few first downs if you got a punt, and they take the false start, or not the false start. They take the delay of game. And I said, guys, Kevin, what are you doing?
By the way, they ended the half with timeouts in their pocket.
Right. Like you don't get. Why are you saving these? Call timeout. Get them in the right play or have somebody find the card on the ground and figure it out so that you can put your team in the best position. And when they took the 1st and 15, I said, oh, they ain't dialed in.
How many times yesterday, look at when they got I think their first possession, wasn't it at the 1 yard line?
Yeah.
They took like 2 or 3 penalties in the first couple plays. And you're like, well, what's half the distance? Well, that's going to kill us. They'll never pick this up.
I mean,
I'm like, what are you doing? We can't even get lined up right, G.
We can't get lined. The screen, we're trying to throw screen passes, and you got guys downfield on screen passes. I never understood that lineman. You understand.
Can't release until the ball's thrown.
You know it's a screen, Dustin. Why are you gotta be careful with those things. And for me, that's the thing that gets me the most, is when you start to see people do that, and then the special teams, just the jump. Like you kick the ball off and then get the ball at the 40.
That right there was the game.
That's it.
That was like when y'all beat us and Doss returned the opening kick?
Yeah.
We thought we had a chance.
And then,
until the ball was kicked off.
And then
the same thing for this game yesterday.
It was done.
Doss returned the opening kick.
Well, the opening kick yesterday went for what? 50 yards?
It might as well have been a touchdown.
And it's so defeating.
We somehow stopped him on that drive.
I know we did.
Which is a miracle, but
then we got the ball on the inch line, and then they got the ball back around the 50, and then they scored.
It flipped the field.
Yeah, flipped the field.
And so it was, and then it was just, like I just saw the way that their offense was operating. And I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a long one, because they started running the ball. Then they was turning people loose. They was running boot action away from it. They had screens that was layered up in it. I said, oh, you guys are in trouble today. And I thought after they went down 14-0, I'll give them the defense a little credit, because it could have got nasty. 14-0 in that weather, people gonna make some business decisions.
Again, in the second half, it felt like a game.
He did. It
felt like a game. And I do credit the defense, because there's been how many games this year that they ended up getting blown out? Yesterday was one of them, where midway through the third quarter, you're like, okay, if we finish this drive off, it's a 1-score game. And then, I think I've said it's basically like tug of war. You dig in and you hold on to that rope, and even sometimes you feel the rope burns, and you look, it might be a little drops of blood, but then all of a sudden you start losing ground, and then what happens? You let go of the rope. And I feel like our defense has let go of the rope in 10 games this year, because they finally realized offense isn't going to pull on the rope. We can't win it by ourselves. And they just finally say, okay, you guys win, you can have it. And it's really frustrating, because we're going to talk about this later, but we're looking at an all-time individual great defensive performance right now on this football team. And we can't even really get excited about it. Okay, we're going to be 3-14 again. So what? When you put that record, could you put the stats up again about the offensive ranks?
Offensive rankings, yeah.
I think the Browns' mistake when they hired Kevin Stefanski was that they didn't hire him to be the offensive coordinator. He's not calling the plays anymore. Offense doesn't look any different. We've cycled through a lot of offensive coordinators. The one that was the best, he was forced to fire. And we have not found his replacement since. I think, and I made this prediction last week on the show, I'm going to stand by it. I think what happens is he gets fired here and he ends up in Philly as the OC because their OC is not on solid ground at all. Very shaky. And they're probably going to come to Sirianni and say
they want to get him out of there.
He's gone. Unless they somehow. Now, yesterday they pulled it together and they beat a terrible Raiders team. If this Eagles team wins the Super Bowl, you're not firing the OC. You're probably
there's some people that want Sirianni out.
There are some people that want Sirianni, and a large part of the fan base that wants Sirianni out is the part of this fan base that thinks that the OC is happening because of Sirianni.
Yeah, like they're like tied to
You're letting that happen.
I've never seen. I mean, how many Super Bowls they've been to?
4 maybe.
They've won. I mean,
they've won 2.
And Sirianni just won when?
Last year.
Last year.
Jalen Hurts just won.
But remember, the year before they started off house afire.
Yeah.
And nosedove, and everybody was like, "What's going on?" This team, I think they were like 8-0 to start or 9-0 something, and then they couldn't win a game at the end of the season. And I felt at that point that Sirianni could be in trouble because the fan base there has never really thrown their arms around him. Then last year they come out and win the Super Bowl, and everybody's like, "Okay, now he's got a couple of years at least."
Man.
But this year, the offense at times has just looked inexplicably bad for a team that has 2 wide receiver ones, one of the best running backs in the game, and a quarterback that is still, we're not sure.
I think the problem that hits the Browns is, and look, I love Andrew Berry's drafts, but McNuggets did a draft.
Yeah.
We'll say that draft. He did an exercise, and we were on a post-game show, and he went through. He said, "I get it. Last year's draft was crazy. It was A+. We give it thumbs up, especially if the quarterback is good."
Yeah.
He said, "But go back and check 24.
Oh, I know.
Check 23. Check 22.
They've been disasters, G.
The Cleveland Browns are stuck in a position where I don't think they understand the times have changed. Before, we're still stuck here where we think we can have a pretty solid number 1 receiver that's solid, and we'll maximize that and do some things around it. Listen, man, you got to have about 3 of them dudes because you got to factor in injury. You got to factor in that, some teams can defensively take one guy out of your game plan. The Browns have never embraced the fact that you need multiple dudes, and I mean explosive game changers at multiple positions, not just
look at Stafford and the Rams and the guys he has to throw to.
They got multiple, and they didn't
all
say
kinds of Adams. If he's not open, Puka's always open.
Adams is hurt now, though.
I know.
And they don't do. They had the other. What's the kid?
Their tight end yesterday jumped off.
They got a couple of exciting whites.
Their tight end Parkinson had a huge game yesterday.
And then they just got Ladd McConkey. They just be like I don't understand.
He's exciting.
I don't understand. You see how they layer them up? They got rid of Cooper Kupp. It's like no. We need another one. We gonna get 3 to 4 of these dudes. They keep them. And for the Browns, Jerry Jeudy should be probably, if you was a Super Bowl caliber team, Jerry Jeudy should be at number 3. He should be a number 2 to 3 where he can work and move, maneuver, and catch some of their third corners on him. Yeah. And then now it's a little bit of a mismatch. But if you see it, they split out Harold Fannin Jr. against a cornerback. Now, Dustin, I said, who does that? A cornerback versus a tight end split out wide is not a mismatch for the offense. The corner, you're thinking as a corner, oh, this is easy money. You looking at him like, oh, listen, you gonna inside release on me? I deal with release packages from the elite guys. That little slant route you just ran, that's slow. That outside release is slow. You sitting on stuff. I'm like, the Browns only have enough playmakers. They got to put the tight end out there. Some of these other teams.
The only time a tight end flexed out worries me as a corner is in the red zone when I'm matched up 1-on-1. They're going to throw this guy like Gronk.
Yes,
fade stop.
And other than that,
because it's just basketball at that point.
Other than that, I'm
not worried about getting beat on a slant
you're not,
or a go.
Nothing
or
deep. You're not like you're really not. Like, you're not even going to be physical and jam them at the line of scrimmage. You're just going to play off coverage and wait till you make his break, and you're going to break on it. You're a corner. You're an athlete. That's disrespectful. But that's what the Browns are dealing with at this point. And when you watch some of these other teams, I always thought it's the 4 o'clock. It's the 4 o'clock shadow. Browns play at 1 o'clock. It's a dark pit. It's zero. It's a pit. It's a hole. And you're like, oh my gosh, we don't see no hope. And then you turn on at 4 o'clock. And guys is running,
they're playing a different sport.
Walking around wide open.
Different sport.
CeeDee Lamb for 25 yards. You're like, where was the cornerback? This tight end's rumbling down the seam. You're like, where are these plays coming from? Where are they at? I don't see them. Like,
you know what's funny, G? You and I used to say that about Kansas City. Remember, we'd say, Andy Reid's got 5 guys open on every play.
6.
And now, when I watch the Chiefs, this is going to be the biggest insult that you can give the Chiefs. They look like the Browns to me.
they're getting locked up.
They do, yeah.
They can't get anybody open.
Locked.
They've got nobody. And if you look at their wide receivers, it's not a bunch of household names. Kelsey is old, and they can't get it done now.
Man, you got to have. It's one of them things where I think the product of the Chiefs is people done seen them for so long. The Chiefs have been so good for so long. They playing 5-6 more games than everybody in the playoffs. People then they staff together and say, listen, I need you to break. Because the reality is, if you wanted to go to the Super Bowl, I think this is what it is with the Chiefs. If you wanted to go to the Super Bowl, you know what you got to do? You got to go through Kansas City.
Used to be.
And so if you good, it's like Ohio State, Michigan. If you good, I'm going to see you at the end of the season. Am I really game planning for Indiana? Not now, Indiana. I'm sorry, no disrespect. Am I really game planning for Minnesota and Purdue and Illinois? Nah, we working overtime. We got a period just for Ohio State or Michigan.
Yep.
If you're a team like the Bills or the Bengals or the Ravens and you want to get to where you want to go, you got to go through Mahomes.
And, you even have to draft.
Yes.
You have to look at the draft and say, okay, Baltimore has Lamar Jackson. We're going to need some quick linebackers that can chase him down. And it does. It starts impacting the way you look at everything. I was going through the Browns drafts last night, looking at just how bad they've been. The one thing that stood out to me was the fact that obviously we're deficient at offensive line and wide receiver. We've had a blind spot at wide receiver. It hasn't been for a lack of drafting.
Yeah.
We've just drafted a bunch of pigs at wide receiver. But when you look at the offensive line, we've almost ignored it. And the guys we've taken have tanked, colossal tanks. We haven't had a hit on the line or at wide receiver in the draft since Andrew Berry's been here.
If you go back and you watch the run blocking grades, and I talked about this last week or yesterday too, like go back and watch the Titans. This is against the Titans. The highest run block grade you had was a 62%.
Which is an F.
Like the lowest was Ethan Pochich at a 39. Like think about if your kid came home and said, I got an F. You like, that's unacceptable. But at least if he would have had a high F,
62.
if he'd had a high F, we could have, the A you got may not look that bad. You might pass, son, but you can't have a 39. A 39 means, I did this in accounting. I got a whole 47%. The next test I came in, I wrote on a piece of paper. He says, Mr. Bush, what are you doing? 5 minutes into the test, I turned it in and wrote another. I said, I'll see you next semester.
You gave up?
Bye, I'll check you next semester.
Yeah, because if you get a 39 and you get 100 on the next one, you still are below 70% average.
You still got a
You still got an F average.
Right, so you're done. So that's how bad the Browns' offensive line is. And then I'm thinking to myself, okay, all right, well, we could draft a few. But even if you draft a few of them, you don't have anybody under contract. So you need 6 and backups. So you need 5 starters and about 3 backups. So
next November, you know what we'll be talking about? I don't know if Shadur's the man. I mean, he can't get time to throw the football. Is Judkins the guy? I don't know. And if he can't get the ball without getting smacked right behind the line of scrimmage.
And if they want to go draft a quarterback, all right, well, that means one of your high picks that you was going to use for protection is off the table.
I don't think this was a topic for today. I'm sure it will be at some point this week about drafting a quarterback. At this point, I'm not drafting a quarterback. Period, full stop. Here's why. You draft a quarterback if you think your quarterback away.
Right.
And I know that everybody tends to think that, hey, if you put Josh Allen on this team, we're an 11-win team. No, we're not. No, we are not. So you would waste a pick on a quarterback. If you brought Fernando Mendoza in here, he's going to look very similar to Gabriel and Sanders. Why? Because they're not going to block any better for him. I'm using my draft picks on offensive linemen and wide receivers. And I'm telling my general manager before the draft, I want to load up on offensive linemen and wide receivers. And if you miss, bye, you're gone. So you better go start evaluating the linemen and the wide receivers, and you better get me 7 that can come in here next year and crazy, contribute like we got the 7 to contribute this year.
The fact that you need 7 is crazy work.
Have you ever
seen
more than 7?
Have you ever heard somebody say, "Hey, Dustin, yeah, man, yeah, we had Ohio
If
State.
they only had 7 players,
all of our seniors is gone. All the seniors is gone. Okay, and we ain't got no underclassmen. All right, so you said we're gonna go get 3 freshmen, and we need to go get. Back in the day it was JUCOs. JUCOs was
now it's portal.
Now it's portal. If you got JUCO dudes, that means JUCO and freshmen, you're done.
Yeah.
You're not getting that off. And the Cleveland Browns, as a regular offensive line in the pros, need 5 starters. 5. And Ethan Poachers, by the way, even if you wanted to sign him and bring him back, he just had a knee injury late in the year.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
how are we doing this? You already said you're not going to bring back Wyatt Teller because you benched him, right?
Yeah, his ship has sailed.
Allegedly,
you benched him, right? So now you and listen.
Well, Jay has said none of these guys are coming back. So you need 5 pieces right there, and you need 2 receivers. You need 7.
That's crazy.
And need backups.
And backups. You have 7 holes on your starting offense. That's why I wouldn't draft a quarterback. We're more than 1 year away here.
I don't think you. I don't, and I guess the optimum situation is going. Shador's a 5th round pick. He goes out there, you give him some pieces and parts, and then he proves at that point in time whether or not in that year is he the guy in 26.
I think that's the smart way to do it, but I got to tell you, the more I listen to people talk, the more it scares me. I think next year's coming down to a quarterback competition between 4 and 12.
Well, we'll dive into that at some point.
I just feel like that's where we are.
Listen, I'm gonna keep it real with you.
You think 4 is going to be a part of this?
I think next year, yes. I mean, he's an $80 million hit, so he's going to be on the roster. If he's on the roster, that means he gets to compete for a position.
So think about it like this.
Did you read the comments Friday? We missed them because they came out Friday at 11-ish. Somehow we missed them during the show.
He's on the roster.
I think it was their wide receiver coach or one of the coaches for the Browns offense. You can look these comments up.
Yeah, Chad O'Shea.
Yeah. No, I don't think it was O'Shea. I thought it was someone else. I had said wide receiver coach. It wasn't. Maybe their passing game coordinator. One of the coaches, if you look, you'll find these comments Friday around 11 o'clock. I didn't see him until the show was over, unfortunately. He's been a joy to have in practice. It's good to have him around.
He runs the scout team, yeah.
But I mean, the quote was like a 3-sentence quote. It was glowing.
Yeah,
he's a joy to have here. It's good to have him back on the field.
Can't see a new coach coming in here and entertaining that.
Yeah,
but here's the problem. Whether it's Stefanski or another coach, you've got an $80 million boat anchor on your boat.
If he's on the roster,
you can either pull it onto the boat and try to move, or you can leave it at the bottom of the sea and never move. I mean, if they're going to keep him because they got to pay him.
I get what you're saying, but I also think the owner at this point has wrote it off as
I felt like he has too, but
sunk loss.
If we come back to next year and he's on the roster and he's in camp, you can't keep him off the field. If he's in camp, he's competing for a position. What if he looks like old Deshaun Watson? Like, the Browns want to win games. Even if it's a new coach, he's going to want to win games. He knows there's a bit of a honeymoon. I just feel like it's so Cleveland Browns drama that's what we're looking at next August.
Well, I'm fully expecting it to be that
they
battle.
Give us something every year, don't they?
It told me. Here's what I thought.
I won't be watching at that point.
It told me when they said unequivocally that he was going to be back on the roster and he was not going to be. They're not going to cut him or whatever. He's going to be on the roster. He started practicing. That told me that they're not drafting a quarterback because I think what you see is you would need a backup quarterback that would be a veteran, and you would need to be positioning yourself to turn over and make it a comfortable room. You got to think about this, man. If you bring in and you get Mendoza, you think about that room. You got Shador Sanders. You already know what that is. You got Deshaun Watson healthy. And you still got Dylan Gabriel that you have pieces and parts with. You got 4 quarterbacks. If you thought that them storylines was crazy this year,
yeah,
them storylines next year is over the top.
And here's what we know about Browns quarterbacks: they eventually get to play.
if you on the roster, you get to play.
You get to play.
I think the hope is if you go and pivot and put as much hope and infrastructure around Shedeur Sanders and give him an offseason to grow and develop and to take reps and do what he needs to do. Hopefully he could prove you can have an evaluation with a new coordinator, new thought process that we could say, is he the guy or not? And because he is a 5th round pick, and a lot of people don't want to hear this, because you are a 5th round pick, right? You're not using much capital. There's no capital involved. So if he does hit, it's a lottery ticket. If he doesn't, you will have the inevitable conversation about Arch Manning or whoever is in the 27th draft.
Saying
whoever it might be. But to me, to even get to a point where that's even viable, you got to have guys under contract and getting guys in this draft to build a roster infrastructure that you could
That's why I'm not taking
evaluate
a quarterback. I'm just not. We're a lot more than a quarterback away from a winning team. Roll the dice. Let's look at the class next year. This is 2 years in a row where the class has been underwhelming. And I think Mendoza will be a good pro.
I think he has a chance
but I don't
to be
think
a
he
good
can flourish here, not with what we have right now.
Now, let me ask you this question. Does it matter who the new coach is? Because that has to factor into things. Like, if, say, for instance, a new coach comes in and says, well, I don't like the quarterbacks on the roster, or Deshaun Watson's on the roster, I'm not going to have that. Does it have to be a situation where a coach has to come in and say, I'm cool with this?
They usually do, to get the job. Because we've seen in the past with the Browns and other situations where head coaches have stood up and said, yep, I know that's your plan, but this is my plan. That usually doesn't work good.
Yeah, it didn't
work well for the head coach.
Didn't work too well.
Usually the head coach is told, well, you're not going to be the head coach here. Go somewhere else and win like crazy.
And I will push back on this. Like, let's be honest with you, right? People always want to talk about what they won't do. That is kind of funny. Like, Dustin works for ESPN. Listen, let the I know he like ESPN. Don't get mad at him. I didn't say it. He didn't say it. I said it. Let them Fox boys come around here and offer him that bag of money and say, listen, we got the team. You're gonna be the second tier team on Fox doing
and triple your pay.
And Dustin Fox like, listen, man, let me. Hey, Dustin might have to give him. Hey, listen, man.
That's the way the world works.
Hey, listen, man.
Money talks.
He'd be dapping his. Hey, man, we had some good times, man.
We got to go. Mike's been rapping us for a minute, but before we go, I'll just throw this little grenade into the room. What if 4 comes back next year and looks like Houston 4? I'm just saying.
This cat. Why would you do this to me?
It's possible.
Sure, it's possible.
And he's on the last year of his contract, and you're looking for a quarterback of the future. What then? What do we do then? Inquiring minds want to know. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's Cleveland.
It would be the most Browns thing ever.
It would.
For Deshaun to come back.
And they would have to make the decision, do we extend it?
Yeah.
I can't even say
it.
I told you.
Why are you doing this to yourself today?
Listen.
If Shedeur started the season, played 12 games, looked kind of good, got hurt, Deshaun goes in for the last 3 games and has the best 3-game stretch in the history of the franchise. And for all the money they paid for Deshaun Watson, all the draft picks they gave up, all the time he has not been the quarterback of the team, for those 3 games to ball out, look like the player they thought they were acquiring, and then put them in a decision-making situation where they have to choose to either bring Deshaun back and or not, that would be.
He could go from making $80 million a year to $6 million a year.
Crazy.
If that storyline is crazy. But if Shedeur Sanders, like, say for instance, I don't know, if he's named a starter and he gets hurt, I would play Deshaun Watson over Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, you want to win games. And that's why I say a new coach might come in here and say, look, I know you all have baggage, but I'm just looking at the talent in practice. And I'm just telling you, Ford's the best quarterback.
This is crazy. I wasn't supposed to come in here talking about this. We were supposed to come in here and bury the Cleveland.
Jay took us on a nice little hard detour.
This is crazy.